This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Okay, so I got Hawkeye here. This was done quite a few months later. This one was still fairly long, but it's not as long as that one. So let's dive into this one. He is not a lying sack of shit. That is an insult to sacks of shit.
Bottom of the barrel woke garbage.
Pew.
But was there anything else, or was that all Kevin Smith said?
Bottom of the barrel woke garbage.
Pew.
I'd like to know where that's from, because I don't see Kevin Smith saying bottom of the barrel woke garbage seriously. We're just going to be playing goofy music while Kate's a badass, guys. Because we can't have women being badasses, so we gotta play goofy music while that does that. Gotta make sure to put those vaginas in their place, guys. You can't let them be too cool.
Nerdrotic.com.
As promised, this is part 2 of my review of the Kate Bishop show featuring Hawkeye. Now, we know things didn't start out with a bang with the Kate.
Yeah, how dare the Hawkeye show co-star Kate Bishop? The fuck?
Bishop show because it was the lowest rated Marvel live action show on D+. You remember the first trailer. It looked like Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye, the most underdeveloped Avenger of them all, was finally going to get his due, but what we ended up getting was a Disney princess who wants to be a superhero story.
Yes, because if we've all watched the Hawkeye series, Jeremy Renner had like no role in it. I believe he appeared in like 2 minutes of one episode, right? It was something like that. Like he had no role. It was all Kate Bishop entirely. It wasn't like a co-starring thing at all. It was entirely Kate Bishop, and except for I think it was 90 seconds in one episode that Jeremy Renner appeared. Only like 1 minute really. I think he was there for like 2 seconds really. If we want to break it down.
Right down to the evil fairy godmother who ends up being Kate Bishop's mother. If you missed part 1 of my review, it's linked in the description. And no, I'm not trying to do my best Barry White impression. I'm a bit under the weather, but I will soldier on. As with most of the D+ series, Hawkeye showed a little bit of promise, and Haley Steinfeld wasn't that insufferable as Kate Bishop, and she ended up not being the worst thing in this series. The worst thing in this series is the writing, the directing, the editing, and the action sequences, especially in the finale where it's downright embarrassing. Disney Plus is...
Can you show me a part in that action sequence that's bad?
Marvel's version of the CW.
You ain't lying.
Not to bury the lead on this one, but the biggest news out of the Hawkeye series is Kingpin and his deconstruction in a matter of minutes. And we will get to all of that. But before we get started, if you like what I do here, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking and sharing the videos. We are approaching 400,000 subscribers on this channel, and I appreciate every single one of you. Now, in the first 3 episodes, they at least showed some reverence for the character of Hawkeye. Well, that's all out the window, and because there was a shortage of female characters, we needed to add one more. And in the final 3 episodes of the Kate Bishop show, it even loses focus on Kate Bishop and ends up being an epilogue to that horrible Black Widow movie that lost money. The Hawkeye finale coming out on the same...
Hawkeye, the Black Widow movie lost money? Didn't it do 400 million? We're gonna pull up the numbers on Black Widow. I'm sure it didn't make as much money as they wanted, but of course it was their first post-pandemic movie, and I think it still did like 400 million, right? Are we gonna load? Come on, Box Office Mojo. $379 million. So yeah, Disney is bankrupt. $379 million. Fuck you. What movie makes that? Is a bomb. That is an absolute fucking bomb. There's no way any movie could make its money back with that. Just absolute fucking disaster of a movie. 379 million is garbage. They might as well just take that 379 million and just flush it down the toilet because there's no value to what it's made. I think the Phantom Menace has firmly established the movie does not make $1 billion. It is officially a bomb. Like, Terror on the Prairie made this much in like 20 seconds. Like, Terror on the Prairie just destroyed the box office. Do not double check my numbers on that. Just don't. Just trust me. Terror on the Prairie was a huge hit. Just making up shit.
Week as Spider-Man No Way Home really shines a light on the failures of the MCU, and it shows you what success really looks like when you honor the past, respect the fans, and give them what they want instead of subverting everything. Our series stars Haley Steinfeld as the very capable and strong Kate Bishop, a Hawkeye fangirl who's also a highly decorated athlete and master archer who runs like a duck. Clint Barton, the guest star in this series.
Wasn't it like snowing out there and icy and shit? Yeah, that's ice. Yeah, people have tendency to run weird when there's fucking ice.
Clint Barton, the guest star in this series, is matched up with Kate Bishop, who miraculously, through a series of contrived events, ends up wearing the Ronin costume after the Avengers irresponsibly left all of their stuff behind after the final battle in Endgame. Kate Bishop is unaware that Clint Barton is trying to clean up his Ronin past while trying to protect her all at the same time. The rest of the cast is rounded out with Eleanor Bishop, Kate's mom, the strong and capable head of a security company in New York; Echo, or Maya Lopez, the very strong and capable leader of a group of white male simpletons known as the Tracksuit.
Does he not want to bring up how her mom is toxic? I noticed he likes to ignore that.
Mafia, a hero who is not only deaf, she has a prosthetic leg and a heart of gold. Despite being the leader of a criminal organization, she's also on a quest to find out the identity of Ronin, who is the killer of her soulful saint yet criminal father. Derek Bishop, Kate's irresponsible father who died during the Battle of New York, leaving his family in debt. Armand Duquesne, the misogynist and duplicitous businessman and uncle to Jack, who threatens Eleanor Bishop and later ends up murdered mysteriously in the first episode. Kazi, the lieutenant of the Tracksuit Mafia and the only member with an IQ above room temperature, who is in love with Maya Lopez but obviously has his secrets. Then there's the Tracksuit Mafia themselves, who Kate Bishop describes as very white and they are very dumb. And to round out the Disney men, who are obviously some variation of either idiotic or evil, is Jack Duquesne, who we are led to believe is some sort of mysterious villain, and Kate Bishop believes he murdered his uncle Arm.
Yes. He's what is called in story form a red herring.
Mon, who we all know to be an idiot, albeit a charming one, and we left Jack Duquesne with a sword to Clint Barton's throat at the end of the third episode, and that's where we pick up the action with the fourth episode, and this would be a great opportunity to have a little callback to the comics. The swordsman used to be Hawkeye's mentor, and if they had a little fight right now, it might be interesting. And then I remembered this was Disney Plus, and of course they all sit down at a table so Eleanor Bishop can scold Hawkeye and Kate. It had been a minute since they emasculated Hawkeye. I remind you, this is the fourth episode in a sixth...
I'm sorry, Kate. Did it hurt your fifis? Did it hurt your fifis, Gary? Oh, I feel sorry for you, man. It's tough having women talk to you and not like doing your laundry while they talk to you. I know it's heartbreaking and it's rough, but you know, women sometimes don't like to cook dinner. They have these moments where they don't cook dinner, and sometimes they want to talk to you. And I know it hurts, Gary. I know it hurts, and that's why it's probably better just to hide off in your little nerd room and bitch about shows.
episode series, and the bulk of it is spent sitting on couches and talking, walking in a hallway talking, texting, making phone calls, up until the end. So after the awkward conversation at the dinner table, Eleanor Bishop sees Clint Barton out and asks him to drop the case. Clint says he can't do that, but he promises to protect Kate. After she closes the door, we see that Clint was able to steal his sword back. Clint texts his wife to look into a company called Sloan Limited, which we find out that Jack is the CEO of, and Eleanor makes a mysterious phone call to who we all know as the Kingpin. That's followed by Jack, Eleanor, and Kate sitting on a couch and being cute, followed later by Kate Bishop visiting Clint while he's icing up his injuries after his ass beating from Echo and being cute. Then we finally get a display of Clint's skills. No, it's not during a fight. He takes a Christmas ornament and turns off a TV. And we don't see something like that from Clint again. And this is the point where I turn off the episode and head on.
We don't? I remember him being involved with the action scenes, but, you know, I also know you like to be selective, so...
Over to IMDb to see if my suspicions are true, and they are. The writers of this episode, Heather Quinn and Aaron Consino, have zero writing experience. No, not zero comic book superhero writing experience, not zero science fiction and adventure writing experience. Hell, not zero soap opera writing experience. It's zero writing experience.
That's not zero writing experience. That's zero writing experience as listed on IMDb. And Hawkeye was pretty good. So, again, you might be whinging over it, but it worked. Let's see. Background stuff. Unnecessary background stuff, too. Yeah, definitely complaining about women not taking traditional roles on this one. Triggered by advice from women, absolutely. Yeah, he's just scared by women. He's just scared by women overall. That's a pretty safe one. All right, let's keep going. Was there anything I thought I should add? Okay.
Hey, I'm not surprised,
Not being 100% faithful? Yeah, we could go for not being 100% faithful for sure.
Do get a little more insight to Clint Barton's Hawkeye in this scene. We find out that Hawkeye, the master tactician from the comics, isn't a big planner. And that explains why what should have been the most dramatic scene ended up falling flat when Kate Bishop finds out Clint is Ronin. And of course, that's followed up with our LARPing guild, who only exists to probably fill out any diversity or inclusivity that wasn't covered with the main cast.
Ooh, complaining about diversity. Nice one, Gary. Go ahead and get that in there. Boom. That's a 5. You got all 5 reviews you complain about diversity. Good job, Gary.
Clint asked Kate and the LARPing guild to go retrieve his trick arrows.
Wait, what?
That's right. We need to go on a mission to retrieve Clint Barton, Hawkeye's trick arrows, because he can't make any more. And this is where I'll ask you, dear viewer, what would you find more interesting? A, Kate Bishop and that wacky, inclusive, and diverse LARPing guild hunting down Clint's trick arrows, or B, Clint MacGyvering his own trick arrows? If you answer B, you might be overqualified to write the next Disney Plus series. Our wacky, inclusive, and diverse LARPing guild, who happens to be filled with first responders.
Yes, let me throw up suggestions, and one of them's kind of dumb and fan servicey, and you guys go for that one, okay?
Responders and cops, agrees to get the trick arrows in exchange for more cosplay fabric. I said this in my part 1 review, but this reeks of marketing research telling the bankers who don't actually watch any of these shows on Disney Plus that nerds like cosplay.
The creative teams are empowered to make the high-quality, branded entertainment they believe will resonate with audiences.
No.
Then we get one of those rare scenes where Hawkeye actually acts like Hawkeye, and if we had a whole series of this, I would like it. Clint confronts Kazi in his car and basically tells him, because he's the closest one to Echo, to tell her to back off or she's dead. Turns out that MacGuffin watch that hasn't really been mentioned since the first episode is important. It can lead anyone to Clint and his family. Clint didn't even realize the watch was gone. His wife had to remember it for him, so he has her ping it, and that leads them to Echo's apartment, which is a surprise to Clint and Kate Bishop when they go stake it out. I'm not sure why you wouldn't look up who lives at the address you're staking out prior to staking it out, but hey.
Maybe you didn't have time to.
It's Disney Plus storytelling. Kate Bishop gets jumped by Echo in her apartment, and Clint gets jumped by a mysterious figure. That mysterious figure is Florence Pugh from Black Widow. Who could forget Florence Pugh?
Dumb sound effects. Woo! Did I already mark dumb sound effects? I don't think I did it for this one. I think I did it for WandaVision. So we'll go ahead and get that in there.
From Black Widow. Oh, I guess a lot of you did because Black Widow lost money. Spoilers,
I would like to see your evidence that $379 million lost money. Can you give me a source on that? Because as we all know, it can't all be making Terror on the Prairie money. I mean, shit, man. $13,000? Fucking... Who wants $379 million when you can have $13,000? It's just... This is real money. This is fake money. And this is real money, okay? Just believe me on that one.
Black Widow was sent there to kill Clint Barton, and she has multiple opportunities to kill him and doesn't for some reason, and they very conveniently stop fighting for dramatic scenes. Hey, somebody finally gets shot by an arrow, and it's Echo, and she shakes it off like she's Taylor Swift. Then all the parties involved realize there's still 2 episodes left, and they all go their separate ways. It's at this point Clint tells Kate Bishop to go home. Things have gotten too real because somebody's hired
Dak Drake? You obviously don't like my content, so why are you even here? I want you to ask yourself, why are you here?
A Black Widow assassin. Just like the second episode, the 5th, which is called Ronin, is just filler to get us to the finale. And it takes a hard left turn. The bait and switch Hawkeye show that ends up being the Kate Bishop show turns into an epilogue for Black Widow.
Goofy sound because women can't fight, guys. Women are just intuitively cannot fight. So we gotta do goofy sound effects for them. It's just the very concept of women fighting. It's so fucking stupid. So yeah, goofy sound effects, guys.
And the last thing I want to do while reviewing
the height of critique is the fart sound effect. Did you guys know that? Siskel and Ebert were like, man, we really missed out on the fart sound effect version of critique. We need to put more of those in our reviews, because that completes your review. If you're doing a review of anything, you gotta get fart sound effects in there. They're great.
Ends up being a pretty awful Hawkeye series is discuss the awful Black Widow film again. But we have to. And it's like the Disney Marvel suck has come full circle. It started with Black Widow, which was a giant Me Too Times Up allegory right down to the Harvey Weinstein-like character, General Dracoff, that I called General Weinsteinoff. Quick reminder, Vostokov.
I'm not sure if this would be produced in time for the Harvey Weinstein stuff, but whatever. I don't even know why you're connecting the two.
Who is Yelena and Natasha's mom, was the one who created the chemical that subjugated the Black Widows. And her mind wasn't chemically subjugated. She did it on her own free will, and she was allowed to walk. and go around and free all the Black Widows from the chemical subjugation that she created. Free them to leave normal lives, to stop killing people, but apparently that's not the case. We start out back in 2018. Yelena and a partner are there to free another Black Widow from the chemical subjugation, but apparently this one was already freed or didn't need to be freed. So maybe I got the entire theme of Black Widow wrong. I thought it was freeing the women of subjugation so they can go live normal and happy lives, not killing people. No. It's just to free them from the male subjugation. They're still going to kill people. They just don't want men telling them to do it. Female.
I didn't get that impression, but sure, whatever, dude.
Empowerment. Yep, so the 5th episode of the Hawkeye show starts out with 3 women fighting, but at least it's during the day. The 3 women work it out, then Yelena goes to the bathroom and gets blipped. And when she comes back out, there is a very diverse family in the living room.
Yelena?
Nani?
So, Gary, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there's this thing called adoption. There's also this thing called genetics. If you adopt somebody, you can have a child that actually has no genetic relation to you, and also sometimes genetics do weird things like skipping a generation and shit. There's all types of things that could happen, Gary. So, fucking cope, man.
All this leads up to Yelena finding out Natasha's dead. Now we don't actually see when she finds out, but we see the moment right before she finds out. Then things slow back down to a crawl. Kate Bishop goes home and cries to her mom. Clint goes to one of the LARPers' house to crash out. And then Kate Bishop decides to go back to her apartment where she meets Yelena.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, she biologically couldn't. Well, not biologically, but like they established it's part of the Black Widow thing where they can't have children. Yeah.
Slug it out? Of course not. They sit down at a table and have some mac and cheese. It's a little girls' night out. They get to know each other a little bit. Then Yelena says she's going to kill Clint and tells Kate to stay out of her way and leaves. Aside from them dialing up the MCU in the final 3 episodes, they're just...
I love the fact that he started calling Phase 4 the MCU the first fucking entry. I love the fact that I know that now. Just, Jesus.
Boring and predictable. And remember, they build this as MCU's Die Hard. I'm betting a lot of you have recently watched.
Oh yeah, good point. Nothing but media. You can also have kids from other relationships too. That's a thing that happens as well.
Watched it in the last week because it is a Christmas movie, and you'll probably remember John McClane.
Unrelated shit. Why are we talking about fucking Die Hard, bro? I know I got some here. Bring up unrelated stuff. Boom.
Running around barefoot, using everything at his disposal to defeat the bad guys in the course of one evening. That would have been cool. Hawkeye in the comic books is resourceful. The man can make a weapon out of absolutely anything. And yes, he has a badass costume, and we will get to that. But I doubt Disney sees this as a wasted opportunity because they had no intention of making a Hawkeye series. This simply exists to introduce Kate Bishop, Echo, and Kingpin, and we haven't even gotten to the worst part of this series. There's a moment about halfway through Ronin where Clint goes to the Avengers Monument to talk to Natasha and apologize for what he's about to do, and all's I can...
Oh yeah, no, Nerdrotic is a straight-up white supremacist. Yeah, absolutely.
Think of was, how is this even in the same universe as the Avengers? Jack Duquesne finally gets arrested. Obviously, he was set up by Eleanor Bishop, and I know that's supposed to be a big mystery to be revealed at the end of this episode, but we all saw this coming from the first trailer. Clint calls his wife and tells her that Echo has the watch and he has to go put her down, or at least that's the way they make it sound. Kate tries to get back in touch with Hawkeye after Jack gets arrested. Clint tells the Tracksuit Mafia that Ronin wants to meet Echo. There's a little homage to Batman Begins as Ronin takes out the very formidable Tracksuit Mafia. Then he continues to have a hard time with Echo. Clint finally gets her down and warns her to...
How's that specifically an homage to Batman Begins? Whatever. I don't know.
Never come after him again as he reveals his identity. I wasn't sure how much I liked the fact that Clint killed Echo's dad, and now that I know the full context, I hate it, especially because they did nothing with it. Basically, what they were saying is Clint knew he was tipped off by the Kingpin to kill his own crew, and he did it anyway. Then Clint gives her the "you and I aren't so different" speech. Our thirst for revenge makes us easily manipulated.
Mongo only pawn in game of life.
Echo once again gets the upper hand on Ronan, and of course, Clint has to be saved by Kate Bishop. Oh, and that's not the last.
Good point. This is a point-by-point breakdown. Thank you. I know I got that on there, because he did that in most of the other ones. Yep. I think WandaVision was the only one where he didn't do that.
And in the final scene, Yelena is following Eleanor Bishop, and this is where we get the bombshell revelation that we all saw coming. Eleanor Bishop is working with the Kingpin, and she hired Yelena to kill Clint Barton. What makes this more ridiculous and straight up cartoonish is Yelena tells Kate Bishop that her mother hired her. Like, why the hell would she do that? Because they're friendsies and they had mac and cheese together?
God, this is so cringe. Holy shit, man.
Before we get into the finale, let's talk about Daredevil, the single best thing Marvel has produced live action ever. Better than anything in the MCU and definitely better than any of the dreck from D+. It's hard to believe that Netflix and Disney teamed up to make something this good, but it actually happened, and it's not rocket science. It's actually pretty simple. They hired Drew Goddard and Stephen DeKnight, two writers who were not only familiar with the character of Daredevil, they liked him.
I grew up reading Daredevil comics, so I knew a lot about them, and I knew the history and the character.
I wasn't sold initially on Charlie Cox, but after about 5 minutes, I was convinced he was Matt Murdock, and Vincent D'Onofrio was genius casting. Mix in bringing in some directors from The Sopranos and Doctor Who when it was...
I already marked bringing up unrelated shit. Like, what? Is this just gonna be bringing up Kingpin and he doesn't like Kingpin in Hawkeye because he's a bit different? Hey, I'm just happy they got Mr. D'Onofrio back, and his role in Hawkeye it wasn't that big.
It's good. And again, you not only have the best single series of television Marvel has ever produced, it's one of the best single series of television ever. Because all the hard work that was put into Kingpin over the 3 seasons on Daredevil was completely undone in one episode of a Disney Plus series. Now,
Really? Let's see how this couple minutes of Kingpin in Hawkeye completely destroyed 3 years of Daredevil. Let's see what you got, Gary. You're gonna blow my mind, I know it.
now rewarded with a Kingpin and Hawkeye showdown for sitting through this garbage. I'm so naive. It starts out with Eleanor leaving the Kingpin. He reminds her that this isn't the kind of business you can just leave, and she threatens him with some sort of insurance policy and
So I don't know why it lagged out there for a little bit, but we will attempt to finish this video.
Walks out, and with the revelation that Eleanor Bishop was the mastermind behind everything, including killing Armand Duquesne with her own hands and having the power to summon Julia Louis-Dreyfus's goofy Madam Hydra to hire a Black Widow assassin. That essentially...
Can we stop with the bad sound effects whenever a woman fight? Jesus.
Makes her more powerful than the Kingpin. And this solidifies that this is the Kate Bishop show, because everything that matters in this story is driven through her character. Disney Marvel doesn't miss a single opportunity to denigrate a previously established male character, even one they fought so hard to get back, like Kingpin. Clearly, Eleanor Bishop was in the position of power in that scene. That's followed by a scene with Echo saying that she's given up looking for Ronan and she needs a couple of days off. Kingpin susses out that she's bailing on him too. Obviously, Echo, the perfectly innocent criminal with a heart of gold, took what Clint had to say to heart. I remind you, it's Clint Barton, played by guest star Jeremy Renner in the Kate Bishop show.
Yeah, I think Jeremy Renner had like 10 microseconds in the entire series. Like, he was not really in the show.
He's essentially reduced to a human MacGuffin. Kate's still reeling from the news that her mom's Cruella and a criminal mastermind, and this is the point where Clint finally says he and Kate Bishop are partners.
Kate, you're my partner.
I'm gonna come.
And I'd just like to point out what an understanding...
Yes, so, a character who has looked up to Hawkeye for a lot of her life is happy when Hawkeye says, "You're my partner. Let's laugh at her. Ha ha ha."
wife Laura Barton is. Now, I can understand her being cool with Clint's relationship to Natasha, considering that she and Laura were probably co-workers, but it's one thing to help a girl in need and another thing to mix drinks with her and decorate a tree. It also turns out that Clint not only has the equipment, but he's perfectly capable of making trick arrows. So what the hell were they doing before? Oh yeah, just filling time. I'm so glad I don't pay for this. So Kingpin essentially tells Kazi to kill Echo, and he's going to remind the city that it belongs to him. And the final showdown is going to take place at Eleanor Bishop's Christmas party that Clint and Kate have infiltrated with the Inclusive and Diverse LARPing Guild. And this big final battle at the Christmas party and on an ice rink is just embarrassingly bad. Yelena shows up to the party, so does Jack Duquesne, freshly bailed out of jail with a sword. Kate tracks down her mom and confronts her about everything, and of course, it's Dad's fault because he got in debt to the Kingpin.
Misery, misery, misery.
With the exception of Sony's Spider-Man No Way Home, it seems I say this about pretty much everything that came out from Marvel this year. This is where things go off the rails. Kazi has a sniper rifle and he starts taking shots at the party while the tracksuit mafia attacks, and everybody breaks into multiple fights, and it starts out with Clint versus Kazi, and I was impressed. Clint's actually fighting a dude. Come to think of it, when Clint was in his Ronin persona, he was able to cut through the Yakuza, the cartel, and the MS-13 like they were butter, but we did find his weakness: short women. Kate catches up with Yelena, trying to keep her from killing Clint, and they have a cutesy little fight on their way down the building with that on-brand Marvel.
I want to thank you for not doing the cat fighting thing for that.
Humor.
Ow! That really hurt.
Yelena's able to jump out of the building gracefully. Kate Bishop, not so much, and Clint gets caught in a Christmas tree. And once again, yes, I am fully aware that this is loosely based on the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run because I sold it in my comic shop. With the tracksuit Draculas who called each other bro and had the Trust a Bro moving service. And I made quite a few videos last year warning something like this would happen because the comic books were the proving ground for all the identity politics and intersectional feminism. And I'll say it again, Disney has skipped decades of great Marvel comics with stories that sold in the millions to get to stories that sold in the thousands and led to the catastrophe that is the modern comic book industry. So
you mean where they're breaking records in their sales? Yeah, what a catastrophe.
The tracksuit mafia attacks Kate and Clint on the ice rink. Well, if you consider an attack running up, then standing still and waiting for somebody to shoot a trick arrow at you, this is just embarrassing. Speaking of embarrassing, this is the moment where we finally see Hawkeye in his purple costume.
Yeah, Jay did do long reviews better than Mahler. Although I think it's also worth noting that most of Jay's reviews, even when they were longer, they weren't as long as Mahler's by a long shot. I mean, the closest thing was probably his Doctor Who review, and that was covering, I think I said he. I don't know what his their pronouns are. I apologize. But that was probably their longest, but that covers like a season, right? Or a couple seasons, so.
And Clint looks like he's about to go skating on that ice. What the hell is that? What is it? You know, there are real LARPing guilds and cosplayers out there that can make a better costume like this and this and this. Meanwhile,
those won't be practical though, would it?
Echo shows up to confront Kazi about lying to her about her dad. She asks him to quit the tracksuit mafia and ride away with her. He says he can't do that. They fight, then she kills him, and then she cries, and then she drives off into inexplicably her own series. And now it's time for the matchup we've all been waiting for. No, not Hawkeye versus Kingpin. Kate Bishop versus Kingpin. And Hawkeye versus Yelena. That's right. In the same week, we saw all three Spider-Men, all Peter Parkers, by the way, team up to fight Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, the Lizard, Electro, Sandman, mix in a little Doctor Strange too. We get Kate Bishop versus Kingpin. And I gotta admit, Kate Bishop can take a beating a lot better than Daredevil could. He throws her around the room. She should have been jelly by the time he was done with her, but she just kind of gets up, dusts herself off, and she's able to blow him up with a bunch of trick arrows. Yes, Eleanor Bishop did hit him with a car, but still, he's Kingpin, and what are we doing here? In the meantime, Clint Barton and Yelena fight to a cry-off.
I love her so much.
Me too.
That's right, little Florence Pugh beats the crap out of Hawkeye because she's
Yes, let's make fun of her name. Cool.
convinced he killed her sister. For a Black Widow trained assassin, she's not very good at it. She didn't do any research on Clint Barton. She let Kate Bishop know who the hell she is, and she didn't kill her. Oh, we're not done snipping off the Kingpin's balls. Right after he gets blown up by Kate Bishop, he gets away and he's confronted by Echo, who we're made to believe shoots him. Right before he pleads for his life.
You and I were family.
Great introduction into the MCU for Kingpin, Kevin Feige. And because it's been a while since Kate Bishop has been praised, Clint Barton tells her she makes him better. I can't help but wonder what Clint's wife thinks about something like that. Well, I could tell you what my wife and any other wife would do in this situation if I was hanging out with some 22-year-old hottie, decorating Christmas trees, mixing drinks, and telling her she makes me better. We'd wake up on fire. Speaking of Clint's wife, oh yeah, the watch was hers and she worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. and she's Mockingbird. And Hawkeye ends up...
Well, this point-by-point breakdown was the fucking point, man.
being just as bad as Loki, the classic bait.
Loki season 1 was probably one of my favorite entries in Phase 4. So, okay.
And Switch. And you know who would be an expert on that? Kevin Smith.
The stick and a string line destroyed me, where I was like, oh my God, like, you're right. Like, you know, we all joke about Hawkeye and being like, the least Avenger, but it's like, yeah, dude doesn't have powers, can't fucking fly. Literally just fighting people with a stick and a string.
And big surprise, I completely disagree with Kevin Smith. I think reducing Hawkeye to a guy who just has a stick and a string does a great disservice to the character. That's been 2021, the year of the MCU, a year of identity politics, intersectional feminism, critical race theory, fanfic dialogue, character deconstruction, bait and switch, and lots of girl bosses. And it ain't over yet. Next year, we've got Echo, Miss Marvel, and female Thor. And
Oh, shit. Well, I that worked out. But yeah, no, you missed my whole rant there about how, women just need to be in the kitchen because men don't like working in the kitchen. So women just need to hang out in the kitchen because if men don't enjoy it, then surely women must enjoy it, right?
Ask Kevin Feige directly again. If you have so much faith in the female characters, why do you have to resort to the bait and switch? Maybe someday we'll get a return to an egalitarian style of storytelling, but right now we're not getting equality. This is equity storytelling. As the Critical Drinker said, Marvel has been riding the coattails of the Infinity Saga, and those coattails are about to run out. Well, Hawkeye wraps it up for Marvel's worst year, and I give Marvel on Disney Plus a D+, and I'm sure Marvel will continue their mission in 2022 to destroy...
I'm not still muted, am I? I should be on.
All the characters that made them popular in the first place, to make way for more lazy, derivative, tokenized characters, all in the name of progress. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I want you all to have a happy new year, and I'll see you in the next video.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.